Welcome to Conspiracist.
Great to be here.
Today, we're diving deep into a truly mind-bending idea.
Absolutely.
The hypothesis that governments around the world have intentionally concealed evidence of space-time anomalies.
Yeah, things that really push the boundaries of what we think we know.
Exactly. Phenomena that fundamentally challenge our understanding of reality. Think warps in the fabric of space and time, things that, well, our current scientific models really struggle to explain.
Fascinating stuff.
Our mission in this deep dive is to maintain a strictly professional and objective lens. We want to evaluate the reasoning, look at the potential evidence for this claim, but without taking sides or, just dismissing it out of hand.
It's a hypothesis that definitely grabs your attention, doesn't it? It touches on some of the deepest mysteries in physics.
It really does.
So to even start thinking about it, we first need a clear picture of what we actually mean by space-time anomalies.
Okay, where do we start?
Well, our understanding really begins with Einstein's theory of general relativity. It's this beautiful description of how gravity isn't just a force, but it's the curvature of space-time itself, caused by mass and energy.
Right, the classic analogy.
Yeah, and this curvature explains so much why planets orbit stars, even why light bends as it travels through space.
The idea that space and time aren't just this, static background, but they're dynamic. They can be distorted.
Exactly, like the bowling ball on a stretched rubber sheet analogy. It creates that dip, that curve.
I always found that helpful.
It is. Now, beyond these sort of accepted gravitational distortions, the hypothesis we're looking at today suggests there might be other, perhaps more unusual phenomena out there.
Okay, like what?
Well, consider the theoretical concept of exotic matter. This is purely hypothetical stuff, okay? Material with really bizarre properties, like negative energy density.
Negative energy density, what does that even mean?
It's complex, but essentially it would have anti-gravitational effects. What's really fascinating, though, is that if this kind of matter existed—
A big if.
a very big if.
Yeah.
But if it did, it could theoretically allow for much more extreme warpings of space-time, potentially leading to things like traversable wormholes.
Like shortcuts through space?
Theoretical tunnels, yeah, connecting really distant points in the universe. Or even warp drives, the stuff of science fiction that might allow for faster-than-light travel.
Wow. Okay, so if governments had even a hint of evidence for exotic matter or these kinds of, extreme space-time effects.
You can see why that might be something they'd want to keep under wraps.
Absolutely. The implications, technologically, scientifically, it would change everything.
Completely revolutionary. Another area where we see things that could be termed anomalies is in how galaxies behave.
How so?
We observe that galaxies rotate much faster than they should, based only on the stars and gas we can see.
Right, the missing mass problem.
Exactly. The prevailing scientific explanation involves dark matter, some kind of invisible substance that adds extra gravity.
Which we still haven't directly detected.
Correct. But some theoretical work has explored other possibilities, maybe unusual, perhaps even random or stochastic. Fluctuations in the very fabric of space-time could contribute to these rotation speeds.
That's a very different idea. So not unseen matter, but maybe space-time itself is weirder than we thought.
It's a possibility some physicists are exploring. A fundamental shift in perspective, as you say. And then let's bring it a bit closer to home. Consider the South Atlantic anomaly.
Ah, yes, heard of that. Space's Bermuda Triangle, some call it?
Kind of. It's a large region over the South Atlantic where the Earth's magnetic field is significantly weaker than normal.
Which means more radiation gets through.
Exactly. Higher levels of radiation, which can affect satellites, spacecraft, even astronauts. Now, there are scientific explanations for it linked to the dynamics deep inside the Earth's core. But the fact that it's this unusual, somewhat unpredictable feature in our near-space environment, well, you could see how some might view it as an anomaly worth investigating closely, perhaps even secretly.
Okay, so we've got a range here. Theoretical concepts like exotic matter and wormholes, astronomical puzzles like galactic rotation, and even features of Earth's own environment. Quite a spectrum.
It really is.
Now, let's tackle the core of the hypothesis, the concealment part. What would be the reasoning? Why would governments intentionally hide evidence of these kinds of phenomena?
Yeah, this is where we move into more speculative territory, obviously.
Yeah.
Direct proof of concealment is inherently hard to find by definition.
Right.
But we can think about potential motivations. One big one often suggested is fear of public reaction.
Panic.
Chaos. Potentially. Discoveries that fundamentally shake up our understanding of the universe. the laws of physics.
Hmm.
They could be seen as deeply destabilizing, challenging religious beliefs, societal norms. It could lead to fear, uncertainty, maybe even social unrest.
I can definitely see that argument. If suddenly reality wasn't what we thought it was, yeah, that would be unsettling for a lot of people.
Absolutely. Then there's the national security angle. That's almost always a factor in these kinds of discussions. Well, if evidence of space-time anomalies hinted at, say, new physics that could be weaponized, or maybe suggested the existence of unknown technologies, perhaps even non-human intelligence.
Okay, that ramps things up.
Right. Governments would almost certainly feel compelled to control that information, maintain a strategic advantage, prevent potential adversaries from gaining access, assess potential threats.
Yeah.
The military implications, even purely theoretical ones, of controlling space-time are just immense.
So it's not just understanding, it's control. Controlling the knowledge, controlling potential applications, good or bad.
Precisely. And related to that is maybe a desire to control the narrative, the information itself.
What do you mean?
Think about how complex these ideas are. Exotic matter, extra dimensions, wormholes. Releasing information prematurely or inaccurately about such things could lead to massive public confusion.
Misinformation spreading like wildfire.
Exactly. Misguided beliefs, maybe people trying to exploit these ideas for, unscientific or even harmful purposes. So maybe there's a sense of responsibility, a feeling that the public isn't ready, or that the information is too dangerous to release uncontrolled.
A kind of paternalistic secrecy, perhaps? We know best.
You could frame it that way. It paints a picture of governments acting, maybe they believe, in the public interest, but doing so behind closed doors.
Okay, those are some powerful potential motivations. Now let's shift to the evidence. What kind of evidence do proponents of this concealment idea actually point to? What are we talking about here?
Well, drawing from the general context where these claims arise, proponents often highlight things like unexplained observations or anecdotal accounts.
Like UFO sighting, or UAP as they're called now.
That sort of thing often gets pulled into these discussions, yes. While we're not diving into specific cases today, the history surrounding UAPs often involves reports of objects exhibiting physics-defying maneuvers, things that seem to suggest maybe advanced propulsion or, physics we don't understand. Some might link that to potential space-time effects.
So the idea being that some sightings might represent technologies or phenomena operating outside our standard physics framework.
That's the connection some would make, yes. Another line of argument you often hear involves claims of suppressed scientific research.
How does that work?
The narrative here is that maybe some scientists stumble onto findings that point towards these anomalies, findings that challenge the mainstream scientific view, and that governments or, powerful institutions actively work to silence them, discredit their work, cut their funding, prevent publication.
Right, the classic maverick scientist suppressed by the establishment trope.
Exactly. The argument is that the scientific consensus is being artificially maintained by stifling dissenting research that might reveal uncomfortable truths about spacetime.
And what else?
Finally, proponents might point to existing scientific mysteries or anomalies and suggest they're being deliberately downplayed or misinterpreted.
How so? Give me an example.
Well, take something like dark matter or dark energy. These are huge unknowns in cosmology, accepted by mainstream science, but still deeply mysterious. Someone arguing for concealment might say, look, they know what's really going on with the universe's expansion or galaxy rotation. It involves these space-time anomalies, but they're feeding us the dark matter story as a cover.
So taking genuine scientific puzzles and weaving them into a narrative of intentional deception.
That's the idea, suggesting the unknowns aren't just unsolved, they're actively being obfuscated.
Okay. So we have anecdotal reports, claims of suppressed research, and reinterpreting existing scientific mysteries. How do we critically evaluate these sorts of claims? It seems tricky.
It absolutely is tricky, and it requires a really rigorous application of critical thinking. Let's take anecdotal evidence first. Personal accounts, eyewitness reports, they can be powerful, psychologically compelling, but scientifically. They often lack robustness.
Why is that?
They usually lack repeatability. You can't rerun the observation under controlled conditions. And perception is fallible. Memories change. Without corroborating physical evidence, anecdotes are usually insufficient for scientific proof. Unexplained observations need thorough investigation, ruling out all conventional explanations first.
Makes sense. Just because I can't explain something doesn't mean it's a secret government space-time warp.
Precisely. It could be a weather balloon, a drone, an atmospheric phenomenon, an error in perception.
Yeah.
Many things. Extraordinary claims require extraordinary evidence.
Okay, what about the suppressed research claims?
That's also difficult. It's crucial to distinguish between legitimate scientific debate and peer review, which can be harsh sometimes, and actual deliberate suppression. Science is skeptical. New ideas do face scrutiny. That's how it works, how it stays robust.
So, having your paper rejected or your theory criticized doesn't automatically mean there's a conspiracy.
Not at all. It usually means the evidence wasn't strong enough, the methodology was flawed, or the conclusions didn't hold up to scrutiny by other experts. To prove suppression, you'd need really strong, verifiable evidence of deliberate obstruction, like documented proof of interference, not just feelings of being ignored or criticized.
Right. The burden of proof is high.
Very high. And regarding the misinterpretation of known scientific phenomena, like using dark matter as an example of a cover-up, again, we need to differentiate. Scientific consensus on things like dark matter exists because multiple lines of evidence point towards it, even if we don't fully understand it yet.
It's the best explanation we have based on current data.
Exactly. Alternative interpretations are fine, but they need to provide compelling evidence and predictive power that matches or exceeds the current model. Simply saying it's a cover-up without providing a better evidence-based explanation isn't science. Science evolves through better evidence and testing, not usually through hidden truths being deliberately concealed by the entire scientific community.
This really highlights the importance of considering alternative, non-conspiratorial explanations, doesn't it?
Absolutely essential. Before we jump to government cover-up of space-time anomalies, what else could be going on?
Like what?
Well, the most obvious one is simply natural phenomena that we don't understand yet. Our knowledge of the universe is, frankly, incomplete. There are vast areas of physics and cosmology that are still fuzzy.
So what looks anomalous today might just be normal physics we haven't discovered yet.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Think about things like electricity or radioactivity centuries ago. They would have seemed utterly anomalous, perhaps even supernatural. Today, they're understood science. The universe might just hold surprises that don't require conspiracy.
Okay, what else?
Misidentification. Plain and simple. People misinterpret things they see all the time. Unusual weather, aircraft, optical illusions, even satellites re-entering the atmosphere.
Human error, basically. Our senses aren't perfect recording devices.
Not at all. And psychological factors play a role too. Expectations, suggestion, wanting to believe. Then, unfortunately, you also have to consider deliberate hoaxes.
People making things up.
It happens. History is littered with examples of faked photographs, elaborate stories, all designed to fool people. So, critically assessing the source, the methodology, the possibility of error or deception is crucial.
Again, extraordinary claims need extraordinary proof. Skepticism is key.
It's not about being closed-minded. It's about demanding evidence that matches the scale of the claim. And finally, we just need to consider scientific progress itself.
How do you mean?
Science is a process. Theories get refined, replaced. What seems inexplicable now might become perfectly clear with a new discovery or a more advanced theoretical framework down the line. Lack of a current explanation doesn't automatically mean secret. It might just mean we're still working on it.
So the absence of evidence isn't evidence of absence, but it's also not automatically evidence of concealment.
Well put. Maintaining that skeptical, critical approach is just paramount when you're dealing with any extraordinary claim, especially one like this involving hidden knowledge and fundamental physics. Evidence-based reasoning, logical consistency, looking at all the plausible explanations, that's the toolkit.
Okay, so let's recap. We've explored this hypothesis, governments potentially hiding evidence of space-time anomalies. We've looked at what those anomalies might even be, from exotic matter to galactic rotation.
To the South Atlantic anomaly.
Right. We've considered why governments might hypothetically do that: fear, security, information control.
And we've critically examined the types of evidence often cited: anecdotes, suppression claims, reinterpreted science, while also stressing the importance of alternative explanations.
Natural phenomena, misidentification, hoaxes, the normal progress of science.
Throughout this, our aim has really been to approach this whole fascinating idea with objectivity, focusing on the logic, the reasoning, the potential interpretations, but without, either jumping on board or just dismissing it outright.
Absolutely. And as you, our listener, continue to think about this, here's a final thought to mull over. Consider the truly profound implications. If a concealment of this magnitude, touching on the very nature of reality, were actually happening, what kind of verifiable, irrefutable evidence would it take? What standard of proof would be needed to convincingly demonstrate such an extraordinary claim?
That really is the crucial question to keep in mind, isn't it? What would it actually take to know for sure?
Thanks for listening to Conspiracist.